All right. I think I'll do it a little bit different for this one. I'll talk through the first couple runs and then I'll play some laps afterwards. This was qualifying for my race tonight. I see I did a 39.499, 39.259. I did end up qualifying on pole. I beat out Cliff in this one. He got me in the race, but good qualifying run for me tonight. All right. Here we go. Staying tight here. Try to make the track as short as possible where you can, with a couple of exceptions here just to kind of flatten out the corners quite a bit. Up here, you'll see as we come forward, everything up here, this whole edge here and up, this is all safe. It's not off track, it's not dirt, it's flat, it's not slippery. So we want to use all of that so we can really flatten this corner out and keep speed through this. I guess this would be turn one through turn one, and then kind of slow down the car a little bit more for turn two coming back up here. And here you can either be maintenance throttle or coasting depending on how the car feels. You'll see on this main straight, I do not grab fifth. I mean, even in the draft, it's really not worth it to grab fifth. You can if you want, but it's just an extra downshift you have to deal with. So this corner here, there's a lot of corners here at this track where it feels like you're going too slow. But you really don't want to be on throttle here until you can be flat. And I hit it just right on this lap and maybe a little bit better on the next lap because I was a little bit faster. And this is usually the section where I lose time. If you have to wait until you're up here to be flat, that's okay. But you want to make sure that once you commit the throttle here that you can stay flat. Or else you lose a lot of time on this little short run right here. Again, talking about using all the track. If you're not touching the dirt in a lot of places here, it's impossible for you to be fast. My philosophy with this corner here, I'm braking lightly. We'll see how light it is. I haven't looked at this, but we'll see. I'm braking lightly and turning at the same time to rotate the car. And then just like in between turns 1 and 2, you have to be super, super, super patient because you don't want to get on the gas and have to lift and get back on because you'll lose 1 or 2 tenths just in this next short sprint right here. Way wide. I'm right on the edge. Let's see what I do with my braking here. I made a mistake here. I got on the gas, had to come off and get back on. I should have waited longer. Hopefully I do that in the next lap so you guys can see the proper way to do this one. I used to grab fourth here. You can. Doesn't make too much of a difference. I feel like the car rotates a little bit better in third gear, so I've decided to stick with that. Again, you're getting right out onto this here, and I use an aggressive lift with a turn at the same time to rotate the car down towards the apex. All these red bumps in all these corners, all of them are dangerous. They'll disrupt the car a lot. So let's look at my steering input. I've already started to turn the wheel as I'm lifting, and that's where I'm going to get that rotation to get the car down. This is a nice coast. That's okay to do here on this track to maintain speed. This corner here is tricky because it feels like you're going your fastest. And if you look at your split times, you might actually be really slow here. Sometimes I come out of this corner, I'm like, yeah, and then I look at my split and, I'm plus 2/10. It's really important. Actually, I was watching Cliff's video earlier. He turns in a little bit earlier than me here, and I think I'm a little bit faster through this section than him. So be patient in your turn in, and don't take too much speed off. But the whole point of this corner, you need to get all the way out, wait for turn in. And it's another section here where, if you can, once you get on throttle, you want to wait long enough that you can be flat all the way up the hill. There's a lot more grip here on exit than you might think. Corrections here are easy. You can lift mid-corner, and there's enough camber here where the car is not going to slide too much. When I say lift, I mean come off the throttle. Don't abruptly come all the way off. And if you get into the dirt anywhere in this track, even if you're entering at an angle, if you straighten your wheel out immediately, you won't spin, and that goes for the big kink up here at the top of the hill as well. For this corner here, I still get it right maybe 60% of the time. It's difficult because it's blind. Make sure you're using your markers. This 2 here is your friend. If you brake, if your sequence here is light brake, turn in, gas, if you do that sequence before the 2, you're going to be too early. So wait for that 2 to come past you on the side here, and then apply your braking. We'll see if I got it right this time. It's really tricky. Ideally, if you can be flat, back on the throttle, before the apex, you'll pick up 3 to 4 miles an hour at the top of the hill is what I've found. Now here, I want to be braking the car in this direction. So as soon as I crest this hill, I'm already hustling the car to the right. I'm light braking at the crest, and we'll see if I do what I think I'm doing here. I start to add brake, and then I do the majority of my braking once I'm over the crest. And you'll see, if you can stay right over this crest, it really flattens out entry into the corkscrew. If not, if you kind of do like a diagonal thing here, you have to slow down way too much to get the car hooked and back around. So let's look at my braking here. If you slam on the brakes, you're going to come over the crest and you'll be in ABS the whole time. So it's pretty good. I'm doing what I'm preaching. Coming off a little bit, I got my downshift. I'm always surprised at how much of this dirt you can take without getting it off. It's a lot. When I'm really fast through here, I feel like that I should have gotten a 1x for an off, but they're really friendly with this. So pretty much I'm down in second gear right now. As soon as I can, I'm going to get back flat on throttle. And when the car gets light here, that's a perfect time to grab third. That way you're not disrupting the car once you get it back down flat again. Some people like to hustle it all the way out here, way to the edge. You don't have to do that to be fast through here. You can do this whole corner staying at mid-track with no brakes, only a lift. You can brake here and still be fast. It's just it's a very light brush just to get the nose down before you go flat again. Kind of down here in this midpoint. I like to do an aggressive lift instead of tapping the brakes to rotate the car. Maybe I don't have the experience to be as consistent on brakes, so a lift is easy. It's the same every time. Because of the way the camber is here, and this exit, you kind of going uphill a little bit. Um, you can really get down into the dirt here and even catch this curbing. This might be one of the only ones you can touch, and it's not going to really destroy your lap. Um, but you want to be flat here, obviously, as early as possible. You can see the guide, which I left on for reference. Trying to pick up throttle way before that. A couple things here. If you find that the car is washing out too far, you can do like a slow, deliberate shift into fourth, or a little lift here is okay too. Well, lift isn't okay, but if the car's going to wash out into this stuff, I don't make it a habit to get out here because it's not any faster. Because then you're really trying to wind the car back across, to set up for this corner down here, which is one of my favorites in the entire track. I'm usually faster through here than most people, where I'm slower in a lot of places, but this section I like a lot. Um, so we'll talk about that now. As we're coming down here, we do want to hustle the car back to the left, and if you're doing this right, you can stay in fourth gear. And after you've apexed, when you have a second where it's safe to look at your speedometer, you should be seeing speed in the 80s, just past the apex, as you can glance down at your speedometer. If if you brake too much for this corner, then you have to turn too much. If you brake too much, you have to turn too much. So we're using light braking to rotate the car, and we're not really adding any more steering as we're trying to get down to the curbing down here, but we might play with the brakes a little bit. We'll see how I did it on this lap. This corner feels, when I saw fast guys running this corner, I'm like, that is impossible. But it's one of those things where once you do it once, you're like, okay, and you build a rhythm with this corner. This corner is all about rhythm. It's not very technical. You just got to slide the car and put it where it has to be. And you'll see, I correct for the slide on entry, and sometimes I'll do this up in turn 6, whatever the one is coming over the crest before the uphill straight. So I'm using the brake to slide the car. I'll bring the wheel back to the left a little bit to straighten it out. You change your angle of attack on the corner, and then here just modulate the brake down through here. Try not to add too much more steering, because if you steer harder, you'll oversteer more. And again, if you get out into the shit out here, just snap that wheel straight as fast as you can, and you're not going to spin. This is your typical 90-degree corner. As you get faster through this previous corner, make sure you're aware of your speed on exit. Always be watching your speed when you're practicing this corner on exit. Because if you're losing time here, you might be coming out of here at 70 miles an hour, had to grab third gear. You can brake way later when that happens, but if you're exiting here at 82, 84, 86 miles an hour, you have to really adjust your braking point here. It sounds obvious, but sometimes if you don't hear somebody say it, you don't think about it. This is another one. This is the other place on the track you can be pretty aggressive on this curbing. If you hit this red curbing, it's going to throw your tires up in the air, but it's not going to affect your exit that much. Just make sure that you're easy on the throttle. If you're getting on the throttle early here, don't go right to full throttle until you know where the car is going to go. And I'll show you where the off track is on this curbing out here. So you're not off track unless your left tires are past this white line here. So I've got plenty of space still. There's my reference. Allow myself to brake out as wide as I can. I'm still not comfortable going way out here. I don't know exactly what the off track is, but you can be pretty aggressive here. Just experiment with it. My biggest mistake learning this track through this corner up here was breaking down diagonally to get to this apex faster. Using this wide, like serpentine route through here, making this one corner instead of two, it's so much faster. Like for me, figuring this out, it was 3 to 4 tenths of a second off my lap versus what I thought was the fastest way through here before. So practice and get comfortable using this space out here. It's free track. I got on throttle super early here, which is awesome. But I felt the car was going to wash out, so I just grabbed my shift a little bit earlier. Just took a little bit of momentum off, enough for me to keep it on the line I wanted to. I didn't do it on either of these 2 laps, but I am faster through this corner if I wait and I don't, double tap on the gas here. You see what I'm doing there? I'm turning and braking, turning and brushing the brakes, sliding the car, and watch my input on the wheel. So I'm catching the car. I'm pointing it where I want to. I'm catching the slide, and then you can get flat super early. This corner is hard to get fast. If you want to take it a little bit slower, that's fine too. Like I said before, I always grab 4th here. That way the car wasn't accelerating as fast, for the last 100 feet into entry into this corner, and I didn't have to slide the car as much, but it wasn't as fast. I was a little bit early here and didn't use all the track. Just point out some things that I did wrong, and maybe this is what Clifford's doing through this section. He's pretty fast through here. It looks kind of similar to what he does. So experiment, but regardless of what you're, where you're turning in here, make sure you're using all this track. Really try to flatten this out. There's a lot of camber down here, but only at the curbing. If you're mid-track through the apex here, the car's going to keep washing out. Then you'll have to lift or even brake to save the car from going in the gravel. So just do everything you can to get down to this curbing here. And you can get on the throttle super early. The camber here is really friendly. Two's gone. So that's it. That's our reference. And actually the red here is pretty accurate to where I'm using my inputs as well. Now, if you take as much curbing as I did here, but you turned in too early, the car's just gonna bounce and launch into the dirt. Um, so you can get down here on the curbing. Just make sure that you've utilized a late turn in. It's a good example of using this area down here where it doesn't really disturb the car too much because of the how the track is shaped right here. I want to see this from behind. Like this is where I'm looking down at my speed. So that's where I grab my speed reference to see how I did in the last corner. Um, I've seen speeds as high as 84 or 85 miles an hour here. It's just a matter of how smoothly you can get through this corner. So you can go really fast through here. Um, I might break a little bit later than this right here, but I'm usually targeting between the 1 and the 2. This corner here, I see people catch me, and I'll have 2/10 on them at this point, and behind me, and then they'll be on my bumper as I'm turning in, like on my bumper. Um, but I pull away on the straight, and I can usually pick up time there. So don't be worried if you see people coming up behind you on this one. Just focus on a smooth exit here. I try not to do anything with the car close to the apex. I'm not trail braking here. I don't think it's faster. Maybe it is. Um, but for the sake of consistency, I'm usually pretty clean through this section each and every time because it's a nice, easy 90-degree angle. So just focus on using all the track here. That's going to be most important. That's where it is everywhere. All your speed on Laguna Seca is using every inch of this track. And you can't be afraid to put a couple in the dirt on entry or exit. Once you've done it a few times, you know what it feels like. And if it happens in a race, you might lose a position or two positions, um, but you're not going to spin and torpedo through the field. I tend to do a big coast through here. Just brush the brakes again to get the car down a little bit further. There we go, 39,259. All right, I'll rewind it and let the 2 laps play through. I hope this video helped. If I still have your attention, I'll show you a little trick here. If any of you guys have been racing on the older tire model, make sure you go to your splits here and you clear all these out. That way you're not racing against times that you cannot achieve with this current car and tire model. I think my fastest lap here on the old tires is like 37 something, 37.4. So you don't need to be seeing, plus, 8 tenths every sector you're running, because you've got your old splits in here. And when I'm practicing or qualifying, I'm always running, the bar with the time, and I always have it set to versus optimal split. That way I can get some more immediate feedback on the section that I'm on and how much faster I am. That way, if you're doing it versus lap and you botch, sector one, you're just gonna be seeing red the whole time. And to me, that's distracting. And I don't want it to be distracting. I want that to be a tool to be faster. So try that out and see if that helps you guys self-analyze. If you're still watching, during qualifying, I always keep running laps. It helps with safety rating if you're clean, because your safety rating is calculated by incidents per corner for the entire session, including practice, qualifying, and the race. And also, it's good to have some extra practice time. I don't remember what this lap was. I think it was a mid 39. It'll show you in your split times when you're doing the lap, but it doesn't show up Doesn't register as a lap, so it doesn't show up at the bottom of the screen or the results. All right. So if you're watching other guys' videos, um, you know, post race, which I recommend that you do, watch some in car video of them. If you're trying to figure out, you don't have the meters for their cars. So what I like to do when I'm watching other people race that are faster than me, like if it's after the race is over, I'll watch some in car video, but then I'll also watch some close chase, and this kind of gives you a pretty good idea. This kind of gives you a pretty good idea of where they're braking and how deep they're carrying their braking. I'll just show one corner here to give you an idea of what I'm looking at. So for me, if I was watching this guy and I didn't have meters here, I'd be like, okay, this guy's trail braking all the way down, to this curbing. And that kind of gives me a reference point. If I look back at my videos and I'm slow through here and I'm watching myself and I'm coasting, I'm coasting from here to here, then I know that I've brake too early and I can carry more speed, or I need to brake less and carry more speed. So this is a really useful thing to do, to watch people's brake lights when you don't have any type of reference pedal meters for them, just to get an idea of when they're coming off the brakes. All right, thanks again for watching. Click subscribe, give me a like.